Okay, what's going on? Just want to make sure that we can hear everything. Obviously, these are recorded. Let's see here. Just want to make sure I can hear myself and whatnot. All right, sounds like it's working. Okay, just give me a few seconds here to kind of get set up, and then we'll go right into the breakdown. Control room here. Okay, looks like that one's working. Let's see here. Yo, Tay, you can still hear me? Just let me know really quick whenever you get a chance. Okay, cool. So yeah, so this will be recorded. This is going to be the market uh, recap for futures, mainly NQ. I'm going to throw in a little bit of ES, obviously for the comparative strength and the YM. Really quick, I just want to kind of start with what we were looking for today. I was looking for the continuation. So um, when you look at where we started today, NQ pre-market outlook, right? We were looking for the. Let me make sure I pull it up over here. We were looking for that price to hold. Like we were already going bullish at 825 to 830. So we were looking for a price to pretty much extend up or to dip a little bit lower. So to kind of show you guys like what we were actually looking for here, um, when I go over to the middle screen, let me make sure I close that. When I go over to the middle screen, you can kind of see where these shots I took. I'll kind of go over each one of these shots that I took. And then the last shot of the day isn't marked, but it was right here at the 25,985s. So I'll show you which ones I lost, and I'll show you which ones I was able to cover, and kind of where I thought, it got spicy today. Yo, what's good? Is it SED Digital? What's good? What's good? So we're gonna break down the pretty much NQ, MNQs, the ideas that we had going up, and then what actually happened today. And so, like I was saying, um, when we were looking at the beginning of the price, we were looking for that low of day was the 25,725s, right? So this was like that London low, and then as you come into, oh, what's goody, bro? So as you come into the New York Open, and let me know if it's clear enough. I think it works a little bit better with just two windows. So when I scroll in, sometimes it's a little bit better. It just depends. But if you guys look right here, 815 to 830, price closed a higher high, showing signs of strength. And so what I was wanting to see was potentially is that we could at the open, like maybe we were going to like when I sent that out around 8 a.m. Maybe we were going to kind of just sell off here at the open, right? And then reaccumulate to then go and take out high of day, right? That's what I wanted to, the ideal setup for me to happen today. What we ended up getting though was right at the open, price explodes. So I'll kind of show that on the 1 minute here. All right, so right here, what we got was very similar price to yesterday. Is first 5 minute candle, so 830 to 835, you got an extension higher showing signs of strength, but the manipulation was in. So what they do in that first minute, 830 to 831, they ran that price up, tapping an area, and then they came back and closed bearish, but they closed bearish back inside demand, right? So it depends on what you believe or what you look at. I was looking at like this area right here, exactly, and then when the price came back down, 830 to 831, and then you started to see 831 a sign of strength, and then 832 to 8:33, this was the key moment for me, that I was like, damn, I think I missed my buy, right? Because that buy position really showed its hand here, because I wanted to come a little lower, right? I wanted to take that low a day. I wanted to come into the 750 level potentially and then go. But right here is when they pretty much showed the sign that they were going to take it no matter what. So 8:32 to 8:33, shift in price delivery on the 1 minute, bodies closing higher, showing signs of strength above New York Open. Clear signs that our higher time frame bias, right, which is what we wanted, was to see that overnight liquidity, those overnight traders that sold down and very slow and just lower low, lower high, right? So they sold down and went lower low, lower high, made that London low, and then we were here for New York, right? And so as you can see, obviously that first 15-minute candle extends up, clearing the liquidity, closing higher. So this is where I personally started looking for my first shorts. So if you look at 15 and 5, it was very choppy, right, on that very first one, but I actually took a pretty good trade on that one. So like when I go back, start new, okay. So this would have been the price we were looking at, okay. So price at New York Open had exploded, right? When you look at that New York Open to where we were at now, we're already up about 60, 70 handles on the day. Now, because the only reason I was looking for shorts at this specific moment was because we had cleared the high of day and we had made new highs, and I anticipated maybe potentially to see buyers taking profit. Now, one thing I will say though, I'm going to pull this up over here and make sure I got it. Okay. Now, one thing I will say that I was personally looking for on a higher time frame perspective, just to kind of give an idea, was, I'm going to do it like this. Let's go left monitor here. What I was anticipating here is the NQ, right? Daily, 4 hour, 1 hour. What I was anticipating was for us to reach over the 25,935s, right? So that would have been that 4 hour high and then this daily high. Now, if you look left, this is a supply candle, right? So like my overall goal for this bullish run is still going to be these 25,100s. But since we had cleared this area, I had anticipated the buyers that took buys from like 25,400 up to the break of structure that they would start to, get out of that position. And so first attempt, like I said, I seen the sign of weakness, 850 to 855. Now, if you guys know anything about me, I like to take trades in the first 15 minutes or last 15 minutes of an hour. And so when you see this price here, it was a sign of weakness. Now, the 1 minute, when you look at the 1 minute price though, the 1 minute didn't really break down, but it was starting to show me what I wanted to see. So 850 to 855, and then I was like, okay, cool, I'll look at that area as a high. Now, price kind of continued to make higher highs, higher lows, higher high. And when price started to break down inside this candle here, this is where I attempted that short and I put my stop at the high of the market. So if you count down from where I got in, you always want to think from risk to entry, right? And so from counting down from there to where I was looking at about a 20 handle move was getting in around the 25,860s, putting a risk at 25,880 for a 20 handle risk. So like that's essentially what I was looking at right here. And then price, make sure and just go back to here. And then price, obviously, as you can see here, it goes down very quickly, right? Like, so if you took a trade, for example here, right, and you took it around 8:57 a.m., you had about a 20 handle risk. Now, what I was targeting on that 5 minute 15, right, was to get back down to New York low or to get back down to here, right, 25,800, right under where buyers would have probably placed their risk, right? Because I was like, okay, if we can get back down to there, we actually might be able to go get this W pattern, right, from the overnight London low, right? And that was like really the target. And so obviously, as you can see here, what we ended up getting on that first setup was price went 1 to 2. So like when I risk a certain amount, whenever I'm at a 1 to 2, so if you guys can see this, I guess just let me know. Oh, it's kind of blicky. Kind of wild in there really quick. Okay, cool. I was gonna say that was crazy. So if you can see it here, right, once you go 1 to 2, this is like a 1 to 2 right here, you're able to start to manage risk. So like how I like to take trades, if you guys have ever seen, as well as I like to use a 2 contract system. So if I go 2 contracts deep here, what I like to do in this situation is once price is at a 1 to 2, I can take that risk of half the order, right, one of the contracts, and start to trail it down. So what I did was I trailed it down to where it broke out, right, as it was starting to attack down to the daily, thinking that we could get back down to New York Open. Now, the other remaining risk was at the high. So what ended up happening was at 9 a.m., right, obviously, as you can see on the 5-minute, it was very choppy. At 9 a.m., they came back up and they hit that trailer, and I left the remainder on the other contract. That makes sense. So I had one contract on, it comes down, goes in my favor, starts breaking lower than daily open, trailed some to kind of secure the bag, left one at their initial stop. Price comes back up, kind of scares me, left my stop in that same place. Now this was the key moment of the day for me though, okay, because like I was like, damn, these buys weren't too bad, but I thought this was pretty choppy price today. And I'm going to go over some of the higher time frames of the other two here in just a second. I'm just kind of really honing in on this one. But when they came down and they respected that area at 9 a.m., what they started to do is they started to build demand, right? And so like this candle here, to me, essentially when I seen that not break, right? Like when I had those shorts and then it hit my trailing one here, and I still had that one on, price came up and goes like this and makes that lower high, and then it starts to come down. I'm looking for what I personally want to see in this situation is I want to see from that, because my risk would have been here, right? I want to see that lower low. I want to see that price start going lower low, make lower highs, and then make our way down to our target. And so what you can notice here is they didn't. They made a higher low and they respected the demand right at daily open. And then what they do, right? They extended that price from right off that demand level and made a new high right here, right? Clearing out the sell side liquidity. And so that was a small loss for me on that one, okay? So I'm just kind of going through each one. Now, the next one was in here, right? 935 to, it was like around like 940. Now, when price got up into this area, it had extended up to 25,900, kind of showing us like, okay, well, it might have a chance to continue to go on these higher time frame levels, right? So like we were looking for the 900s when we were looking left, we were looking for 950s, we were looking for the 26,000 whole level. And so what you start to notice on this one was, and I'll go back to the 5 and 1 minute, is when that 5-minute candle right here, if you guys can kind of notice here, this was 930 to 935, so it would have looked like this essentially. Right, on that 5-minute, it looked like this at one point. Right, they're still making higher highs, higher lows, and then I seen this candle right here force up and take out liquidity at an 80 level. Now, for me personally, I like to short at those levels. I like to identify shorts at those levels, right? So how I was kind of looking at this, and just make sure I got everything pulled up over here. Sorry. Give me 1 second here. That replay mode is wild on the computer today. I'm just trying to make sure I have all my my stuff up over here. Sorry. Okay, cool. So I need OBS to come back up. I'm trying to see if it'll, okay, here we go. Now I can see this stuff. Okay, cool. Now I can see it all on OBS. That's what I was trying to look for. So, okay, so back to where we were. And let's see if it's freezing at all. Give me 1 second. I changed that one setting and it's been doing that ever since. Let's see here. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, cool. It's showing that it's working here. It's just showing that it's not working on like this OBS. So I want to make sure that you guys can see what we're looking at though. So give me 1 second. Okay, so it has this middle screen still up. So on that second trade, what I was starting to identify right here was when price was shooting up, right, and it had a 5-minute fast up candle at an 80 level, I was starting to frame up this area here, right? So I was wanting to look for something like this, and I had about a 15 handle risk, and my trade ended up being a 20 handle, excuse me, on this one. It was about a 20 handle risk, and I was looking for the same execution, right? I was looking for price to come back down that 1 minute, slip below these buyers, come back into the 25,800 level, and then potentially, right, we still kept looking at that W pattern at the lows to see price potentially come for that. So on this setup, what I ended up doing is the same thing, 2-contract system, right? 2-contract system, and then what happened was when price moved a 1 to 2 in my favor, so like price shot down fairly quickly, right, which was like almost like a 1 to 3 when it shot down, I was able to trail off some of the risk to like around this area right here, the 25,872s, and then I accepted the risk on the second half. Now on this one, I would say because of how it responded at daily open, and when it came back and took my trailer, I probably could have been done just on that trade alone, to be honest, because it was how fast and how manipulative they had, shot the price down back into the point of interest. Okay, and so that's pretty much what I was seeing there. And then we'll go to the next setup here really quick, which would have been now this one I was able to cover, and then I don't think I took one right here. I don't know why that one's there. That's supposed to be set for this one that we're gonna go over last, but. Looking at this one, I thought this was a good chance as well. We came up, this was around 10.10 to 10.15, then you had 10.15 to 10.20, and you started to see price break down. Now, the reason why I liked this again was because the manipulation that they had, right, for price to buy up in this area here. And so for me, I was like, okay, cool. If we can short down from there to, back into this massive, push that they had here, 25,860s, then we definitely probably could go below that wick. So the same framework, I'm still looking for probabilities when I take the setup, right? 5-minute edge had about, it was about a 10-point risk on this one. And then I was looking for price, like I said, to reach down, if you're looking over on that right side, to reach down into those 25,860s and possibly under to that daily open, and then to this 5-minute wick here on the left, which would have taken us down for, potentially again for the W pattern and New York low. And so again, what they do, right, if you have 2-contract system, they moved in profit. So I'll kind of show this again because 1 to 2 is kind of what you're looking for. They moved in profit over a 1 to 3, and that's what solidifies for me trade management and start to make some moves on my edge. And so same thing, did the same thing here, accepted the risk, took another small loss. So at this point, I have my own personal DLL, and then obviously like TopStep has their DLL, but I personally stick with my own. And at this point, I was very close to my own personal DLL. And so you fast forward to in here, I thought I'd seen an area in here. I was able to cover this one. Like I took a short at 25,670s, like somewhere in that area, put my stop at the high, price kind of moved in my favor, and I just trailed it, and it hit me break even. So that one was fine. And then the one that I took that end of the day that was, I sent to the Telegram. So let me see if I can actually pan over to there really quick, or if it's going to be weird. Okay, so should be seeing the left monitor, but I sent this into the Telegram, and this is the last trade of the day. I don't think I sent it the earliest one that I could, but I sent, the area that we had. So we ended up getting the 25,285s. And so when you look at that, that was pretty much right in here, and I'm gonna make it go on both here really quick. So this was at 25,285. Same situation, guys. There was nothing any different. And so let me go back over here to that. Okay, so same situation here. Like I was saying, you basically had a 5-minute fast up candle, and then you had the probabilities of the area. Now this worked a lot better because I'll show you guys here in a minute on the higher time frame 4-hour. It had delivered a no wick candle, and that was awesome for us to see. Now the same method applied, right? I had 2 contracts on, Price went 1 to 2. So like it kind of went down here, went 1 to 2, and I went break even on these, right? Then you see price shoot back up for the mitigation at the 25,975s, and then falls again. So what I was able to do is I had 2 contracts on. I accepted the 15-point risk. Price moved in my favor. All I did was, instead of trailing one, all I did was I just reduced this down to break even, right? Price started to kind of come back up and give me a little bit of heat, like I said, into those 25,975s, and then we ended up breaking structure lower right here, right? Showing signs of weakness, right? 5-minute candles closing lower, and that's when I was able to take that break even and secure a small profit here. And then what happened on the second contract, what I ended up doing was I wanted the same thing. I wanted 25,800 to deliver. I wanted price to deliver below this wick that you see here that we had looked at earlier. But what ended up happening was timing. The end of the day started to come into as a factor, okay? And so once we broke that structure lower, and then we started breaking lower again here at 25,900, so like where my eyes are, just like here at this point on the 5-minute, when we broke lower, right? That's when you're able to take the risk that you have here. I had that one contract that was a little bit more, or 2 contracts that were a little bit more than break even, and this is where I started to splice. As soon as we broke structure lower and we had signs of weakness on the 5, what I did was I left that one that would essentially be my break even there, and then I moved the other contract risk to here, if that makes sense, right? Because we're starting to topple over. Now my target was here, 25,810s, 25,808s. And so was able to manage this down for a profit to be able to secure a small winning day, which I had started off, like I said, losing, as you guys can see on the way up. So to kind of go back over the higher time frame here really quick, and I'll add the ES if it's not, if it's going to load here, make sure it's loading right, was ES was being very difficult today at the same time that NQ was trying to do its thing, okay? And so let me make sure these are all loaded really quick because they're kind of being weird. Give me 1 second there. Okay, and so I'll kind of show all 3 here really quick. Okay, so when you're looking at all 3, right, we had seen them take that high on day on YM. We've seen the fast push up at 10 a.m. to 11 on ES. And so we were still making our way higher, if that makes sense, on NQ as well. Now, where they started to really manipulate price today is, let's see if those shift over here really quick, was in here. Okay, so these other 2 will load here in a second. I'll be able to show NQ as well. But like right when you hover over 930 to 930, yeah, 930 to 945 here, you can see it where it's hovering on the same price over here on NQ, okay? And so you had that massive 945 to 10 a.m. candle that exploded up, taking that 25,900 level and just blasting out shorts. At the same time, what you have on ES? You had demand being respected, right? And so what they did was they respected that demand. They had already made the up thrust, and they made another up thrust to go ahead and attack that level that they wanted on the higher time frame, 7,000. So thought it was pretty interesting how they manipulated this area. And when they manipulate their way up, they usually fall down pretty fast, specifically for NQ. So yeah, so just looking at that was pretty much what we were seeing. And then when you seen the fall back down, you can see where we were pretty much looking at this to come down right under that wick. And we ended up getting to point of interest for 150 handles to daily open. And as you can see, ES definitely cleared that London low. So the difference is that we still had London low open on NQ, and ES had delivered, and that's what kind of gave me more signs up in here when we were kind of just sitting at 25,900, kind of showing signs that we were going to extend lower to point of interest, that the other 2 were so weak, okay? And so that was pretty much what I was seeing for today. Let me see what time I started this. Okay, that's what I was pretty much seeing for today. And like I said, as you go into like the higher time frames here, you know, we're still looking for price levels, 25,125s and higher, like 100s here, 26,000 whole level to actually deliver, because we came in about 2 points of that price today. And so looking at like tomorrow's price, let me make sure that this loads here. Just want to show the 4 hour, 1 hour, and 15 here on NQ. Let me make sure it's loading up here. Okay, it's being kind of weird there, but all right. So that 4 hours, you can see when I go like this, right? You can see the target, the quadruple wick here, right? And we've just made every time we've made a pullback, we've made a new high. So like right in here, we pulled back, we came down here, we made a new high. We had a massive fast push that Friday, came back, made a new high, right? And so we continue to keep doing that. So tomorrow, what I could see is either, since we fell so hard at the end of the day today, that shorts might cover, and we might see maybe in the overnight we see price gradually make its way back up above 25,009, back to 950s, or potentially tomorrow. And I'll look at what news we have. Is I'd like to see a sweep of this low of day, which tomorrow will be the previous day low. Right, I'd like to see a sweep of this area, and then price maybe come down into here to reaccumulate in the 700s, maybe 650s, maybe this demand right here that you're seeing, right? So like pretty much all in here under this wick right here. Okay, so like right in this area, see a pullback, see a reaccumulation, and then go higher. That makes a lot of sense to me when you're looking at like a 4 hour daily perspective. Okay, because that target to me just looks like it wants to be met. And then we'll let this weekly load here really quick, and you can really start to see that we've been continuously bullish. Like we haven't really shown any signs that we want to go down since respecting this candle at 25,200. Okay, and so we have double tops, and on daily 4 hours, quadruple tops, right? So the likelihood of us going higher and it only being Wednesday seems, pretty doable to me. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll kind of move the bar for the 1 hour here really quick. We'll move the bar here for the 1 hour. And I don't know why it's loading this slow. I need to figure out what's going on. Come on, man. Okay, cool. So what we'll do is we'll just do it here for right now. But I'm going to move this end of day bar, so the 1700 hour bar. I'm going to go ahead and move that to the end of the day for tomorrow. And that way we kind of have an idea of what we're looking at going into tomorrow, right? And so when you look at this, like I was saying here, you look at like how much time is left going into tomorrow's close, right? Since we're still sitting here at the close of today, is that we could see that, slow grind down. I could think about too in the overnight down into this level here, right? Under that New York low, under that low of day from yesterday, which will be the previous day low. And then we could essentially start to see maybe a reaccumulation inside this 25,700. But regardless of what we do, I want to see them deliver that 26,125 area target. Okay. And so we'll see what we get. Tomorrow is what, Thursday, or what is tomorrow? Tomorrow's Thursday. So Friday we're gonna be live for the New York trading. So we'll actually come on a little bit before 8:30, before equities open, and then we will continue to actually trade live that day. So I'm gonna try something just really quickly. Just because I want to see if this will still load if I do something really quick. Give me 1 second. Okay, so they're all active. Okay, cool. So that'll be it for today, because I do need to work on a couple of the technical difficulties. And then I do want to kind of go over, like I'll go over a lot more like ES. When there's more people and there's like just more questions on it, but I like to focus more on NQ. So appreciate you guys watching. Let me know if there's any audio or maybe the visuals need to be a little bit better, but just let me know. But hope you guys like this, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.